All right, all right, all right. There he is. And of course, our friends at Welt Rheaume, proud sponsors of our show. And thank you, Jeff, for constantly reaching out and checking up on me. Appreciate you, sir. And of course, reach out to our friends at Welt Rheaume, 954-966-4646. They will take care of you in many different ways. A consultation is free. David, I don't know how much you caught of the entry there. We were talking about it because we just finished talking some hockey, and I wanted to start leaning into a little football. And this is an unsexy off season. This is an off season where you see one of your personnel guys leave for maybe even a less than lateral job overall. To me, this is an indication that your franchise is on a hot seat, your coach, front office, all that, and you're not going to have the pick of the litter. You're not going to have a lot of people wanting to come here. And so it's going to be a little bit more of a difficult situation for you to fill your needs. Is that what we're seeing in this free agency trip so far?
First of all, Big O, good to see you back. Glad to do it with you. I wish while you were away, the Dolphins were giving you some better news, better updates, hopefully cheer you up a little bit. I mean, the offseason is leaving a little bit to be desired, but I think, at least from my expectations, this is kind of what I was expecting was, all right, you're going to go and address the offensive line with a guard. That's kind of like the one, if you can even call it a splash signing, where they spent the most, which was mid-tier spending for an $8 million a year contract, that level on a James Daniels at guard. So you solidify, you get one starting guard who's really solid, but you can get at a discount because he had the Achilles injury and he's coming off of that. So you go and do that. You address backup quarterback, although I didn't love the move. I know you were on Josh Dobbs. I was on Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, no, I was Garoppolo first.
Okay, you were Garoppolo, but then also Dobbs.
Garoppolo first, and then once Minshew became available, I said Dobbs, Minshew are like my 1A, 2A, B. But then the Minshew thing on the physical came out. I didn't know that he had failed the physical on the Raiders. Didn't under, but definitely Garoppolo first. But Garoppolo and Dobbs chose better situations.
Yeah, and even less money for Garoppolo. And I know they were linked to Marcus Mariota, and he got more money to stay in Washington. Hey, those guys, they have cushy backup jobs. You know, like in Washington, you're behind Jaden Daniels. He's going to be solid. You know, I mean, it's hard to predict if a quarterback will miss time, but the way he plays, he can get out of trouble. So you probably don't see him get hurt as much. Same thing in Matthew Stafford. He'll keep himself upright there. And then Jimmy Garoppolo didn't really have to be used much in LA. Go back there. That's a cushy backup job. Now, in Miami, you expect that's the other side of it, though, is that you do expect, hey, you're going to get playing time opportunities if you go to the Dolphins, which you could look at it two different ways. Do you want the cushy backup quarterback job, just get paid millions of dollars to not have to ever go in and do anything? Or do you want an opportunity to go and play? And more often than not, that's the case with the Dolphins. But Zach Wilson, I struggle to understand it because I wanted the veteran backup with the scheme fit. That's why Jimmy Garoppolo, for the combination of those things, was my top choice. But I guess Mike McDaniel sees it where he can develop him, be that quarterback whisperer, try to do the same thing he did with Tua, and you only need Wilson as a backup. I know he looked a little bit better in the Broncos preseason the last year with the Jets than he did when he started off with the Jets, and he's been in Mike LaFleur's system, which is a similar scheme. But, it's just if Tua gets hurt, that's not who I want to bank this season on. I would have felt much more comfortable if it was a Jimmy Garoppolo that they were bringing in. But a lot of the points you mentioned could be reasons why. Yeah, they're not getting pick of the litter this year.
No, they're not going to get pick of the litter. And I think, I understand, unfortunately. And unlike you, I do not see Mike McDaniel at all as a quarterback whisperer. I think Tua does everything pretty much on his own. The only thing that Mike did was that he believed in him, but I don't think he makes him a better quarterback. In fact, I think McDaniel hurts him as a coordinator because he doesn't really know how to call plays. He doesn't even get them in on time. He does a lot of shit that kind of hurts his own team. So for me, I can never look at McDaniel as a quarterback whisperer. Plus, what you did with Skylar Thompson was unforgivable. For that guy to be around you for 3 years and not know that he can't get the job done. I mean, David, that was pretty bad. So to me, Zach Wilson is not an answer. There is no way that you actually can count on Zach Wilson coming off the bench. So either you're going to find another veteran or you're going to draft somebody in the middle rounds.
Yeah, and I don't think drafting someone in the middle rounds is still definitely on the table. I wouldn't be surprised if they do carry 3 quarterbacks in 2025, and whenever they're all healthy, then the third one is just healthy inactive, but with the thing that they're available as
Zach
emergency.
Wilson, you're carrying 3. With
Huh?
Zach Wilson on the team, you're carrying 3. There is no way anyone in the world can say that Zach Wilson is even a capable backup quarterback, dude. Seriously, like he's a bad backup quarterback.
Well, I'm guessing from that perspective, because I mean, you only need him to be a backup. Also, I mean, I understand his starting career, his starting tenure was horrendous with the Jets. Who's to say he's not in the level of quarterback 33, right? Like first 32 are the starters, quarterback number 33 to 64, right? I wouldn't go that far to say he's not a backup quarterback either.
He's bad. He's bad.
I know.
Dude, we're talking.
I'm not putting him out at the top 64 either.
Let me explain something. A backup quarterback in the Rams is different than a backup quarterback in Miami. A backup quarterback for Washington is different than a backup quarterback in Miami. Why? The guy in Miami is going to miss several games every year because he chooses to do stupid things. The other guys do smart things and they try to stay away from injuries. That's what normal quarterbacks do. I get Josh Allen plays a whole different ball game and Lamar and all that. But most quarterbacks with a brain, they get rid of the ball. They don't really take on, contact, all that. So there's a good chance your backup quarterback is barely going to play. But if you're the Miami Dolphins front office and head coach, you must know your quarterback, your backup, your number 2 is going to play. And you have to count on him playing 4, 5, 6, 7 games because the guy you have starting refuses to learn how to take care of himself. So you have chosen to put Zach Wilson in a game 4, 5, 6, 7 times this year. I think that's a bad decision.
No, I mean, you're hitting it spot on, Big O. With the Dolphins, you need not a true backup quarterback where it's just, okay, he needs to be a top 64, right? You need a fringe starter because you need a guy who, yes, you can still get as a backup quarterback who will be willing to accept that job and not take on one of the starting jobs somewhere else, but who is a capable, who could be like in that top 30 if he's really going in there.
I don't know what Gardner Minshew.
Jimmy Garoppolo was at the top.
Yeah, I don't know what Gardner Minshew failed, but I would rather have Gardner Minshew than Zach Wilson.
Yeah, he's a guy who's proven to go in and do some things whenever called upon, and be a guy who can lead an offensive unit and maybe corral some personalities, which you also need that aspect too in this huddle because you got a Tyreek Hill personality in that huddle. The second that the offense is off, now you're losing him too, and he's going by the wayside. So that's why, I wanted the veteran, proven, established. And sure, I mean, a backup quarterback who has started before, well, they lost their starting status because they weren't up to snuff for that. But still, you need someone who has a track record, who's done it before, to go into this system and do it. And instead of this reclamation project, which is what Zach Wilson feels like, where that's not who I want to bank a season on if Tua's missing 4 games on IR at a time. And then it's Zach Wilson is who you're counting on. And now there's some upside to it too. Zach Wilson has the tools like the live arm, the mobility to extend plays. That he has some of those raw things that you could work with. and develop. But still, it is at the end of the day a reclamation project and not something that is solid and you can count on when the time comes.
Tiene la cabeza.
Tiene la cabeza. Does he have it all upstairs?
I've seen a lot of guys that can run around and they got a live arm and all that. And yet, it's like, if you're not, if you can't read, react, and define this stuff quickly, all those tools, they go to waste. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I see with Zach Wilson. Look, it's going to be fantastic because the Boca women that are, a little older with a whole bunch of, plastic surgery, they've got a guy now that is going to be interested in him. You know what I'm saying? So Zach's going to pick up a lot of phones, a lot of phone numbers over there in Dolphin Stadium. At least that's going to be good for him. But I just feel zero confidence about Zach Wilson and about Mike McDaniel coaching Zach Wilson. I mean, I think I might feel better if Spo was coaching Zach Wilson.
To teach him how to distribute the ball effectively.
I'm just going with the real coach. I'm just going with the real coach here. So right now, early on, what are we looking at? Let's see, James Daniels, Larry Broom, Ifati, Belly Foul, whatever. Nick Ikine, Ashton. I actually like the Ashton Davis pickup. Tyler Dotson, I'm glad they brought back KJ Britt. And the return of the great Liam Eichenberg. So talk to me.
Yeah. What do you want to know first? I mean, Ifatu Melifonwu actually is a pickup that I do like.
Yeah. The two safeties are fine. The two safeties are. I like the two safety moves. Actually.
Yeah. I think it's only up from there from what they got out of the safety group last year, and you don't need to spend a lot when you have a Jalen Ramsey in there, and hopefully the pass rush is a little bit better if you get some help from Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips to pair with Chop Robinson, who is developing and should only take another step, and maybe some development in Mo Kamara as well. So especially when you have Zach Sealer on the defensive line, still need to beef that up. But if Calais Campbell comes back, which I'm not sure that would happen, but that would be great. But you don't need like stars at safety, which you can still add in the draft. Let's keep in mind they have 10 picks, and then if they get their hands on one of those top safeties in this draft, that'll be even better. But Melifonwu, I like how just versatile he is. That he's started off his corner.
He can cover.
Didn't really. Right. So he had to transition to safety, and I mean he's just very physical for his size. So, and you talk about you need to add physicality on this team. So I like him that he's a dog in that sense that he can play free safety and have the range. He can go into the box and thump with the bigger guys. He can cover the slot and play the nickel. He can even go back to that boundary. And so very versatile piece when you talk about a defense under Anthony Weaver, that ultimate chess piece. That's what Anthony Weaver likes to use Jalen Ramsey as. Well, now you have another guy who can move around with Ramsey. Wherever Ramsey is vacating, you can go move him around. Kader Kohu can do the same thing, assuming you're able to bring him back as a restricted free agent. You can go from the slot out to the boundary if needed. They still probably need another corner. So unless you're counting on Cam Smith and his development, or Storm Duck and developing him, which are options if you will go the cheap route there, but you probably still need a veteran to go in and compete. Even if it's on the cheaper end, I would still like a veteran that can compete for that job. So it's not just we're counting on you, Cam, we're counting on you, Storm. So probably still need someone there. Ashton Davis, like you said, he's a guy who can make some plays. I mean, he's got more interceptions than Javon Holland, playing a lot less. So he's a guy who can go and get you the football back, force some turnovers, maybe get a little risky with it, but still he's capable of doing that. So I do like the safety moves, and Nick Westbrook-Akine I also like, or Akine, I also like, just because he brings you a possession receiver, long-armed, big body, that once you get down there in the red zone, now Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, their job is done. You get down in the red zone, you're throwing it up to him and to Jonnu Smith.
Oh, will McDaniel use him is the question, bro. You get a big receiver.
That's why they got him, right? I hope so. That's why you bring him in, right? So I hope so. And he also does the little things right, like blocking and route running. So that could be a good fit. Those are some low key moves that I really like. On top of, I do like if James Daniels is healthy, I like him at guard as well.
I'm with you there. I think all these moves. Broom is a rotational tackle. I like James Daniels. I think he'll be a starter. I like the two safeties. I'm with you there. I think Tyler Dotson proved last year he fit this system and played well.
Yeah.
Overall, I'm with you. I actually think that these moves now are they. See, here's my problem, and here's where I have the issue, and you're not good enough as it is. Are you fielding a better team than last year? I would say not. And do you have a great coach? No. So I need a coach that's going to be even better than he was last year, and the guy you had last year wasn't good enough. And so that's my problem. That a coach like this needs a team that's over talented to make up for his lack of being a good game day coach. Well, right now I can't say that they're building a team that is better than the one that left last year off that roster. So that's where, even though I like these moves and I think they can fill some holes, but I just don't think they have enough to overcome the coach is the problem.
Well, and the roster's not complete yet. This is just the first wave of free agency, so there's still moves that are going to be made maybe over the weekend, second week, and probably not big splashes, but still, there's still roster spots that are going to be handed out via free agency. And then you get really into all the pro days, getting out there, using all the stuff you learned at the combine from different prospects. And this team has 10 draft picks, a first rounder, a second rounder, deep into the third. A lot of these day 3 picks that they can use to move up if they really like a guy. So let's keep in mind, there's probably going to be an offensive line addition in the draft, maybe a tight end, maybe one of the top safeties in the draft. Defensive line, I think they really need to bring an infusion of young talent on the defensive line because, yes, you got Zach Sealer there coming off back-to-back double-digit sack seasons. And if Calais Campbell comes back, great. But still, he's going to be 39, and even when fully healthy like he was last year, you're not playing him for more than half the defensive snaps in any game. So you still need young defensive linemen to come in. So I would like to see him bulk up there through the draft. And actually, Deshaun Hand, I think, was a big loss. Deshaun Hand was a solid player for them last year. So a rotational guy who really stepped up and might have had his best season as a pro. Really worked well under Weaver and under Anthony Clark or Austin Clark. Anthony Weaver, defensive coordinator, Austin Clark, defensive line coach in development. So big loss there. So maybe they can do some of that with a player they bring in that's a cheaper veteran with a rookie in the draft. But yeah, still not a complete picture of the roster. So I don't want to jump to too many conclusions, but I think they're improving on the offensive line. They could get better play out of the safeties than while being more economical than having to pay a Javon Holland. So some maybe problem areas I think they have addressed was also bringing in a possession receiver who can be that third in the receiving core in NWI, Nick Westbrook-Akine.
All right. So what are you leaning on now in that first round as we see the free agency filling? And I thought, okay, defensive tackle or guard. I'm still thinking defensive tackle or guard with that first round pick. Or where are you going?
Yeah, I could see that where you could go the Will Campbell route where now, because maybe he didn't have that great of a combine, I saw him slipping a little bit. So maybe if he's dropping a little bit and he's available at 13, that would be now a home run. I remember we were talking about him very early in the offseason, maybe some momentum. And I think it was kind of like building up too much for him where he was going to be out of reach. There was no chance he would fall to 13, but maybe coming off the combine, maybe he's the one that slips. If Armand Membu, who had a great combine, is the one that skyrockets, and he's maybe the first offensive lineman taken. I would still love a Kelvin Banks out of Texas, where he's a tackle, but maybe has some of the traits that he could play guard in this system. And the Texas offense, they actually ran the same system as Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins do, where I heard from another one of the Texas linemen in this draft who was training down here at Pete Bomarito's that Texas actually grabbed some plays from the Dolphins in reviewing their film and used some of the same offensive plays in their system. So just for the scheme fit, then that would be fantastic. Kelvin Banks out of Texas. Now, I would also love a Gray Zabel, where first round pick 13 is way too high for him, maybe, but I think he'd be gone by the time you're picking in the second round at 48. So if maybe you do go defensive tackle with Nolan out of Ole Miss or Grant out of Michigan with the first pick, maybe you can use some of that day 3 draft capital to move up in the second. If he's sticking around there a little bit, Gray Zabel would be a home run in this offense. Also very versatile as an offensive lineman. So, up front, the trenches, that's what I want to see.
Don't forget, folks, Welt Rheaume, Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume can help you out if you got homeowner property damage, condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury, bankruptcy. A lot of people dealing with that right now. The consultation is completely free. If you had an incident happen to you, you don't know if you have a case or not, call Jeff Welt or Daniel Rheaume. Take the time. They will listen to you. The consultation is free. They'll tell you if you have a case or not. Maybe they can help you. Maybe you may need someone else. You know, some of our listeners at times have called, have explained everything to them, and they've led them to other lawyers, a part of their firm, just lawyers they know in the business because they don't handle a specific case. So they might even help you along the way. That's how great these guys are. So they can help you with your case. So check it out. Call them 954-966-4646. All right, so we look at free agency. What's the next move? Are the big names pretty much off the board that you think they can get? Is there any chance that Daniels was the only big move that they're going to make, if you can call that a big move?
Yeah, well, what still has me holding out hope is that the Dolphins were willing and making an offer to Joey Bosa, who they missed out on. So if you go by the logic of, well, if they were willing to spend the money on him and maybe didn't match the price that he was ultimately getting in Buffalo, which I think he got $12 million there.
So maybe they were no-balling him and offering him $9 million or something.
Right, where maybe that kind of money can now be used elsewhere if you went ahead and missed on Joey Bosa, where, hey, I look at actually another local product, St. Thomas Aquinas product in Asante Samuel Jr. So, yeah, Joey Bosa went to Aquinas, Asante Samuel. Maybe he's interested in a homecoming. The Dolphins might need a corner. So I'd love to see him, replace that Kendall Fuller role. He's kind of like that one that's still sticking around. So I do wonder, as far as like the top, because a lot of the top cornerbacks are already off the market that were available in free agency so far. Clearly, the team went and solidified safety where they had no starters just because everyone was a free agent, aside from Patrick McBoris, the rookie they took last year. So you needed bodies there to begin with, made sure to shore that up. But that'd be a corner I like. And then, defensive line. Now, obviously, there's a big waiting game with Calais Campbell. Last season, he didn't make his decision until June when he decided, he was coming back and he was joining the Dolphins. Obviously, you want him back, like on a scale of 1 to 10, you want him back at like 20, just because of how he brings the locker room together, the leader that he is on a team that really needs a leader like that. But also just his play. So what if he's 39? What he's able to provide is immeasurable.
What's your gut tell you, bro, on Campbell and Armstead? What's your gut tell you? Because I got him going 0 for 2.
I would lean to say Campbell goes to – if he comes back, because retirement is in the cards for both of them. If Campbell comes back, I would say – and plays, I would say it's to the Baltimore Ravens. I would make them the favorites.
Why would those old guys want to come back to a team that has no chance to win it? Come on, bro.
Right. It comes down to how they see that. And then, what still gives me some hope is the relationship that Campbell has with Anthony Weaver. And if he can sell him on that, and obviously Miami is a nice place to be, for the same reasons that he decided to come originally. And if he feels like it could be a winning solution with the way they did win some games at the end of the year, and the second half was a lot better than how they started, and they basically put themselves out of it with the first half, where if Tua's healthy, maybe he could see it. But I mean, if you're him, you gotta look at it and say, I got a way better shot if I go back to Baltimore, because that was sort of the place that was in the talks at the trade deadline when the Dolphins were 2-6 at that point. And then, that's where it was, okay, the Ravens are offering, bring him back to Baltimore where he has been. The Ravens are obviously a lot closer. So if Calais Campbell wants to say, this is it, this is the last one, the final hurrah, then if I'm him, I go to Baltimore and try to win it there.
Follow him on Twitter at @DavidFurones_. Make sure you check out his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel, and you subscribe. David, as always, thank you, my brother. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll get back to normal again. We'll catch up on Tuesday.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
You got it. There you go. The great David Furones and our Welt Rheaume P.A Dolphins report.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.